Let me start. So UBI4ME is a project that you and I have set up to try and um, change the media focus of how UBI is spoken about, because currently it is very much academic, and that means to show an unbiased view of the world in which, unfortunately, the other side gets too much weight, in my opinion. I have not yet found a one single champion for UBI who goes out guns a blazing, um, showing that UBI is not only a reasonable option for the future, but it may be the only option for the medium term for humanity, for every single person on earth alive at this point in time, to be able to make it to whatever social economic change is coming at us. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what's coming, but all I know is that AI currently is pretty much as smart as most people, the average person. AI is as good as us. The only thing is, they don't yet have a body. Looking at the rate of improvement, I fully expect AI to be superhuman in about a year or two. And given that robotics and AI are merging as we speak, I do expect in a year or two for AI to have bodies and be walking around outside. And about 5 years from now, I'm not even going to be 50 by then, there will be intelligence that is far superior to humans, that does not need a break at work, that can write better code, can write better news articles, can make better movies, better symphonies, whatever, you have it. They will be better than humans in pretty much any way. If not in 5 years, then in 10. So what happens to humans then? We will not be needed for work. That means we will not have an income, which means what are the options for us? And one of the options that I see is that we move to a model where humans are valued just for being here, just for being alive and contributing to this world as they are, and that would be a universal basic income where um, there is a fair distribution of goods, and goods here really being money. Let's be completely honest, because if most people don't have jobs anymore, they don't have income. Who is going to buy the goods? Who's going to buy products? And ultimately, that means companies will have to streamline, they will have to get rid of more people, they will have fewer profits, and the circle spirals downwards. So, personally, I think giving people money so they can spend it in any which way they please, and therefore keep companies growing, and therefore having legal entities to pay tax, meaning the companies pay tax, and with that, we can fund UBI. That's where I'm coming from. I have not yet heard anyone suggesting that this is not a workable solution. I've never heard anyone saying, no, it can't possibly work, and then back it up with evidence. So let's have a discussion about it. Why not do it? Why not now? Anyways, that's me. Over to you.
Um, I agree with what you're saying, but I would go further to say that AI is already superhuman. AI is smarter in almost every way. The difference is that it's different AIs doing different tasks. So there's no human that can beat an AI computer in playing chess. We've seen the AI beat the world's best Go player. So in many respects, AI is already superhuman, but it's limited to specific tasks. AI can do a better job than a human in identifying things from images. in most respects, as long as it's given the right training data and it can pick up things. So, whether it's radiographers or cosmologists or those specific tasks, AI is better than a human at doing that already. Likewise, robots are already here. They are already able to do things better than humans in any task that you can specify the robot to do. The limitations that robots have at the moment is vision. And the main reason why you have captures telling you to identify traffic lights and bicycles and things like that is because they still struggle to see those things. But I think we've passed that point already. I think AI is already better at identifying objects in a capture than humans are.
Yes.
Whether it's whatever object it is, it can identify it quicker, faster than a human can. We have self-driving cars, which already are better than humans. It's all good for news to be able to identify the one incident where an AI self-driving car made a mistake. But what about all the thousands of human mistakes we've made that same day? And let's not forget that once you fix a mistake on a robot, it's fixed for good. You don't have to try and correct every single driver out there on the road. We were discussing it the other day about how people think they are better drivers than they are, and the longer they drive for, the better driver they think they are. They've not improved. They're still bad drivers. They just haven't been in an accident yet. It doesn't make them a better driver just because they've been driving for a long time. And I think with AI self-driving cars, for example, you're going to get that improvement relentlessly. We have the scenario, obviously, where the 80-20 rule, where you get 80% of the way there, and the next 20% takes 5 times as long, the 80% of the time. So we are going through that slump at the moment. Self-driving cars got 80% of the way there very quickly, and now we're trying to iron out the last 20%, and that's the hard work. But once that happens, it's going to be better to have AI driving. And I think when you have AI drivers on the road doing a better job than cars, that kind of change will happen very quickly. So the problem is not that the technology is coming. The problem is the technology is here already. It just hasn't replaced humans yet. And it's that slow process. And people can get very excited when robots and AI are replacing their jobs and they can resist and things like that. But all you need is another company to start up without those employees to complain about it in the first place. The screenwriters and all these writers strikes that they had, and they said, we're going to make sure that AI doesn't come into this company. All we need is another production company to start up without writers in the first place, just doing AI stories. We already have a lot of journalism being created by AI. And it does a good enough job. It does a better job than most AI humans do when they're creating stories, especially the rate at which they can do it, the rate they can pick up stories and spread stories. So I think we're there already. It's a transition period. And I think it's a very exciting time because it does allow us to be freed from doing those jobs. And what a UBI does, from my perspective, a UBI gives people the opportunity, right, to do what they want to do. They don't have to find a job that pays them enough money, right, to be able to survive. They can do what they want to do. They don't have to start a company that has to make a profit, right, for that company to succeed. They can just do what contributes to society in the way they think contributes to society without worrying about how you're going to make money off it. Right? If you make a product, okay, that benefits 1 billion people, okay, but you can't sell it for a penny, right, because it makes more sense to give it away for free, right? Who's contributing more to society? The person who makes a product that you have to sell for $10 for it to make sense, or the person who's contributed something to 1 billion people for free? But because you can't get money from it, you have to try and find sponsorships, you have to try and use Patreon, you have to try and use GoFundMe, you have to try and use Kickstarter, etc., to try and find money to survive from that. Okay? And for me, it's a really exciting opportunity to free all these people that want to create and do things and contribute to society without having to worry about how to make some money, how to make enough money to feed themselves, how to make enough money to put a roof over their head. And that for me is what a UBI is. It gives people the basic income to get a roof over their head, food in their stomach, meet their basic needs so that they can do what they want to do. And if that allows them to make money as well, fantastic. But it shouldn't be a prerequisite. You have to make money to feed yourself and put a roof over your head. And I think we have an enormous opportunity at this time to get there. But if we don't do it now, as you pointed out, the businesses are going to start making less and less money. I mean, if companies like Microsoft and Google and can only make money through advertising, these massive companies with their products and their product base, right, have to provide advertising because they can't actually even sell their products. How is the man in the street supposed to create a product that they can make money from? I'm at a loss to understand how we expect the productivity of humans to be able to add value to society and expect them to make enough money from that to be able to pay for their food and clothing. I think the biggest challenge in this transition, what we're trying to avoid, is that it's not that AI and robots will take over everyone's job, is that right now they don't take everyone's job. There's still jobs that that robots can't do. There are still some jobs that AI is not good enough at, like vision, than humans are, right? So we still need humans to work. And how do we do that? We force them to work by telling them if they don't work and they don't have a job, right, they will starve. And I think that is just barbaric. And I think we need to get away from that barbaric approach. No one's saying everyone's going to be rich from UBI, but what we are saying is that everyone's going to be able to survive with UBI, and then for them to make choices as to what they want to do. People also say, people lose their identity because people identify by their jobs. I think that's a nice problem to have. Not being able to identify who you are and what you do, right, gives you the freedom to be able to sit back and say, okay, what do I want to do? But worrying about your identity because you can't say I'm a teacher or I'm an accountant or I'm a lawyer, right, is not a reason not to introduce UBI. I agree that people will need to find meaning in their lives, right? But my question always is, what do the rich do? These are problems that rich people have. When daddy provides a trust fund, the child doesn't have to do anything. Okay, they have that problem. What do I do? What do I do? Those are rich people's problems. Those are nice problems to have. I think everybody should be entitled to that kind of problem. So it's not a reason for UBI. But that's where I'm coming from. I think we're there already. I think we're in a transition phase, and I think we need to basically accelerate the message that needs to get out there, right? So that when you speak to people, that they don't say, well, yeah, I agree with everything, but I still don't quite see how it's going to work. I think the UBI4ME needs to address those questions. What is it that is still holding you back? Make sure that we've got those answers, and they're public, and everybody can use them. So we're not doing basically the human problem of trying to convince everyone one by one. You have all the answers there, so everybody can refer to them and go, yeah. So when there's anybody sitting there going, I still don't think UBI is a good idea, it's like, why not? What is it holding you back?
And that is still one of the better questions, the how are we going to fund it, how is it going to work? And that's, in my opinion, a legitimate question. But there are more narratives around UBI that I struggle to understand myself, and I'm hoping that UBI4ME is going to is going to share a viewpoint that people can accept and warm towards. And the one that I hold in my head specifically right now is, yes, UBI is a great idea. We totally should roll it out. But the drug addict shouldn't get it. The single mother shouldn't get it. She put herself in that position. The old person who no longer works in a factory, they shouldn't get it because they don't contribute. That judgmental narrative of yes, I should get it, but nobody else. That is something that I find hard to understand. And as I said, I'm hoping that in a year's time, we're going to have come up with enough data. I nearly said counter narrative, but with enough data to show that it does not matter one bit, that judging other people is not the right way to go, that ultimately every single human has the same right to have enough food on the table, roof over their head, and that will require assistance such as a UBI.
I I think there's that aspect, but I think it's more than that in the sense that there are some people who would rather not get a UBI if it means that drug addicts get it as well.
Yes.
Because they don't need a UBI. They've got a job, right? So they'd rather just keep with their job to prevent drug addicts. You know, I had an example the other day where somebody said forcing people to go out and find money, right, creates the creativity, you know, and it's like that's just ridiculous. You're basically saying to somebody if they if they can't juggle three jobs so they can feed themselves and their family,
Hmm.
right? Then they don't deserve to be able to feed themselves and their family. They need to be more creative in how to find and juggle three jobs. And it's just that mentality of those people need to be forced to be creative to find ways to make money, right? Because if we just gave them money, they would just sit and do nothing. And this is like, I think it's a self-reflection, that some people, when they are so exhausted from their jobs that when they go on holiday, all they want to do is sit and do nothing. And
Yes.
that's what they think they're going to, that's what the world is. If you're not forced to work, right, you will just go home and sit in front of the TV and play video games. But I know from personal experience, that if you have recovered your energy, and a 1 week or 2 week holiday is not long enough to recover your energy, right? You need a proper break. If you've been anybody who's been made redundant, who's been out of work for 6 months, knows that after the first few weeks of just recovering your energy, you then find that energy and you want to go out and do something, right? And ideally, you think, oh well, now's my opportunity to be creative because I've got a 6 months redundancy package, right, to work with, right? And suddenly you go out there and you try those things that you were doing. You got that window of opportunity, and that's just with a 6 month redundancy package. Imagine if
Yes.
you knew you were going to get,
May I just point out the 6 months redundancy packages? In my experience, are a thing of the past.
yeah, it depends whether you're able to keep a job for 20 years to get a 6 month redundancy package.
Um,
But but what I'm pointing out is the fact that, yes, you will sit back and just recover and recharge your batteries, and just sit and watch TV for a few days, right? And then it's like, okay, now what do I want to do with my life?
mhm. I
It's not
agree.
the it's not the child that hasn't left home yet who uh, just sits there and plays video games all day because the only option for them is to go find some boring job. That's not motivation to get up and find something to do. If all you've been told to do is you have to go find one of those boring jobs that you don't want to do. Yeah, it's the same as people on the dole, right? You can say, oh, they'd never try and do anything. It says yes, because the only
No.
option they have is to find a boring job that they don't want to do. They'd rather sit at home, not look for a job.
Now, for our friends who live outside the UK, the dole is unemployment money.
Yes. Um, but my argument again is, what about rich people? What about rich kids? Right? All those kids that don't have to work, right? Do they sit at home and watch video games? Yeah, sure. There's that yeah uh, drug addict rich child who turns to drugs because they're so bored. There's, but again, what I was saying is it's rich people's problems. Yeah, the majority of them go out and they start businesses, because they have that cushion to fall back on.
Mhm.
They don't have to worry about the business failing and them not being able to continue, surviving. So I just think we have this enormous opportunity right now, right? And we need to sort it out now before it becomes a problem, right?
Yes.
And I think if we can do it now as well, the countries and businesses will see the benefits. I mean, this is not some left-wing socialist communist viewpoint. This is a viewpoint that a lot of capitalists who want people to have money so they can buy their goods want to have as well. It's not just a nice to have for you and me, but I think as long as people who would benefit from UBI are thinking, I'm not so sure, I think we need to address that problem first, because the
Yes.
rest will come. As long as everybody thinks this is a good idea, this will benefit me as well. I think that's where we need to go. And that's why UBI4ME is so important.
Because if those narratives and thoughts had changed 20 years ago, then the vote or the referendum in Switzerland would have ended differently, where they voted against the UBI.
Yeah.
And other referendums across the world or across the globe where people vote against a better life for themselves.
Yeah.
And that is where I see UBI4ME to fill the gap, to try and help people to understand what it means for them as well as everyone else, that it's not taking away from them,
Yeah.
it's just adding to them, helping the single mother to not having to stick with a job where she gets harassed, once a week or however often. It's helping the student who could be the next Einstein, not having to hold down a few part-time jobs to put them through college.
Yeah. Or the next Mozart.
Yes, for example, as well, and helping those people being able to focus on what they're really, really good at, rather than working at McDonald's or somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh no, McDonald's is automating as well at the moment.
No, but that's the thing. Everything's going to be automated because it's cheaper. I mean, all those jobs that have been outsourced to China, right? Those jobs are not existing anymore because they automate in those factories, and they don't have unions to object.
Correct.
Yeah.
But yes, one step at a time. One step at a time.
Yes.
I am positive that we will have a UBI in my lifetime. I do think it will need a Herculean effort to get everyone to pull along the same lines, and I do think we will get there as one mankind, or as one humankind, really, because there aren't a lot of alternatives out there.
No, and I think it'd be amazing. I think if you think, what would the future look like? With robots and machines doing all the work, right, and allowing us to do what we want to do. That's the future I see.
Yes, and
People free to do whatever they want. Not having to slog away at a menial job. Turning up and having your robot barista create your coffee for you. Turning up at your McDonald's and your burger's there and ready to go. You don't need people sitting there. Why do you need people sitting behind the counter? Let's let the robots do it. The robots cleaning the streets, the robots fixing all those tasks that nobody wants to do. And that's, for me, is ideal. That's where we need to be. We need more robots and AI. We need more.
I agree.
So we can free up and do what we want.
And anyone who sits and listens and watches us now and thinks, no, 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 it's too much. We have enough already. I'm just asking, how often have you gone to the river to beat your clothes against the rock instead of using a washing machine?
Yeah. No, exactly.
Just,
No, exactly. Yeah, or the dishwasher,
or the
any of
dishwasher,
those.
or the Roomba,
Yeah,
or any of that
all
other
those
little
lawnmowers, the robotic lawnmowers that charge
Yes.
around. Yeah. Do you really want to go back to pushing that lawnmower? Do you really want to go back to, as you said, beating your clothes on a rock by the river? So yeah, I think the key is getting the information out there, and that's what this website's about. And I think we need to identify what the key objections are, and address them. And I think one of those, as you pointed out earlier, is people worried about it being unaffordable. And I
Mhm.
think a priority at the moment is to work on the affordability of it. So that people don't say, "Oh, won't my tax go up?" You know,
Correct. Yes.
let's address the affordability of it and go from there.
Yes, I completely agree. And anyone watching or listening to this later on, do email us your ideas, get in touch, have a look on our website, ubi4me.org. That's UBI number 4 me.org. And just get in touch and talk to us.
Awesome. Thank
Good.
you.
Any final thoughts for today?
Let's make this happen.
We are making it happen just now. Okay. Thanks a lot for the first event that we had. We will continue on a monthly basis now. So every first Tuesday of the month at 4 o'clock in the afternoon UTC, which half of the year aligns with Greenwich Mean Time. Otherwise, we do have time converters as well on our website, so have a look when they are drop in. Otherwise, email us in advance and we can give you more details. Good.
Great. Thank you.
And thanks a lot and speak to everyone next month.
Bye.
Bye bye.